I am going to be honest with you today. I'm not in a good place philosophically. I'm not walking out of here with some beautiful insight I've already processed and packaged for your consumption. I'm furious. And I've been furious for days. Someone close to me, someone I love, someone I've been supporting financially across an ocean for over a year was given an extraordinary opportunity to restart their life. Everything arranged. No rent, no bills, a stable country, a real network, a genuine shot at building something solid. And they looked at all of that and chose to go volunteer on a farm in Cardiff, then visit England. And now they want to move to London, undocumented, no money, working as a hostel receptionist in exchange for breakfast and a roof. And I told them exactly what I thought, and I don't take it back. But I also know myself well enough to know that when I feel this intensity, there's always more underneath. So today, I'm going to walk through it, not to reach forgiveness, not to arrive at some clean resolution, just to understand what I'm actually dealing with. Because fury, examined honestly, can be a tool. Fury, left unexamined, just burns you. Zygmunt Bauman, Polish sociologist, one of the sharpest minds of the last century, coined a term that I keep returning to: liquid modernity. His argument was that we used to live in a solid world. Commitments were real, identity was built over decades. A given word meant something. You stayed, you endured, you transformed through friction, not by escaping it. And then something shifted. The world became liquid. Nothing stays in shape. Relationships, careers, identities, values, everything is temporary by design. Everything is swappable. The moment something becomes uncomfortable, you don't transform. You leave, you rebrand, you pivot. And the most insidious part of liquid modernity is what it does to the concept of consequence. In a liquid world, consequences don't feel real until they arrive. And even when they do arrive, there's always someone to call, always a safety net, always a way out, always someone who will absorb the cost of your recklessness so you don't have to. This is the operating system of an entire generation. Not stupidity, not malice, an operating system installed early, reinforced constantly, validated by a culture that calls impermanence freedom and calls discipline oppression. We call it common sense. The idea that you secure your foundation before you chase your dream, that you build before you fly, that you pay the price before you claim the reward. But honestly, I'm done calling it common sense. Ain't nothing fucking common about it. What we call common sense is actually rare sense. And it's becoming rarer every single year. Here's what this situation made me confront. There are people in this world who can afford to be reckless, who have a floor, whose mistakes get absorbed, by someone else's resources, someone else's patience, someone else's love. I am not one of these. I am not one of those people. I never was. When I left everything I knew and built a life in a foreign country from zero, there was no safety net, no one to call at 2 a.m. to wire money, no one whose amen I could count on, no one who would absorb the consequences of my bad decisions. I walked the Nigredo completely alone, and I'm still walking the Albedo, still in the washing phase, still in the discipline and the grind and the daily choices that don't look like freedom from the outside, but are slowly, incrementally building something real. And I can see Citrinitas from here. It's not close yet, but it's visible enough. That visibility, that clarity, is what you get when you pay the full price. When there's no shortcut available to you, you were forced to learn the terrain. What enrages me is not that someone is making different choices to mine. What enrages me is the combination, the recklessness plus the assumption of a safety net, the freedom pursued while already counting on someone else's to absorb the crash. A given word not fulfilled, relationships treated as liquid, consequences treated as optional. And I have zero tolerance for that. Not because I'm rigid, because I've seen what it costs when there's no one to catch you. And I fear, genuinely fear, for what happens when this person is finally alone with the full weight of their choices in a city like London, undocumented, without money, without the structures they've been taken for granted. Because I've seen those worst case scenarios, and they're not abstract to me. Schopenhauer said, "The prey's agony is always greater than the predator's pleasure. The lion eats and forgets by tomorrow. The zebra experiences the full cost. This asymmetry runs through everything. When someone makes a reckless choice in liquid modernity, they experience it as liberation, as movement, as finally living. The person who answers the phone when it goes wrong experiences something entirely different. That asymmetry is real. It's not in my head. It's not me being controlling or paternalistic. It's the structural reality of what it means to be the responsible one in a family where not everyone chose that path. And here's where the mirror comes in. Because Jung will tell you, and he'd be right about that the intensity of your reaction to someone else's behavior is always partially about you. I know what I sacrificed to be here. I know the paths I didn't take, the recklessness I chose against, the freedom I deferred because I understood the price. And watching someone walk straight into the thing I chose not to do, with every advantage I never had, and have the crowd cheer them on for it. Yep, that adds fuel to the fire, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. So, what do I do with this? I'm not arriving at peace. I'm not going to stand here and tell you I've integrated the shadow and I reached some beautiful equanimity. I'm still furious. But I understand the anatomy of the fury. And that changes what I do with it. The fury and the recklessness, that's valid. I keep it. It sharpens my own discipline. Every time I see someone dissolve their commitments into liquid, it reminds me why I chose solid and why I keep choosing solid. The fury at the mirror, the part that's about my own sacrifice. I scrutinize that. I don't indulge it. I use it to confirm that I'd make the same choices again, and I would. The fury that comes from fear, the genuine fear for what happens to someone I love in a dangerous city with no documents and no money. I sit with that. I can't control it. I've said what I had to say. The rest is theirs to carry. There's a note I wrote to myself a while back. Use the most foolish of the motivations to walk the most excellent of the paths. I wrote that thinking about myself. Today, I'm using it differently. This fury, this slow burning, is a foolish motivation. It's not noble, it's not wise. It's not the elevated response of a man working towards eternitas. But I'm going to walk the most excellent of paths with it anyway, whatever it takes. Rare sense, Paul. That's what it is. It was never common. If you like this video, there is a link in the description for you to support the channel. Thank you, and keep walking. El Sai Kongul.